Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to a new video. So guys, this is video number 2 of my intro to Python series, and in the last video we covered how to install PyCharm and how to get basically Python running. And in this episode we're going to be doing a lot of the different mathematical operations that we can do in Python, and we're going to be touching on the math module. Alright, so before we actually get into the math module and stuff, let's quickly just create a new file by coming to our project and clicking new, and then we can go to Python file. Alright, and I'm going to name this file the math module. Alright, you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it the math module. The next thing you want to do is open up the Python console, because this is where we're going to be working for right now. Okay, we'll work in the new file later on, but this is where we're going to be working for now. So wait until it has these 3 green arrows showing up, and after it does, you can start writing all of your code over here. Now remember, over here, whatever code you write, you cannot save it, nor can you go back and edit it. So be very careful about what you're writing, and make sure that whenever you're trying to write a program, you always do it over here. But for testing purposes, I'm going to use the Python console. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be covering is basic arithmetic with Python. Alright, so that includes addition, it includes subtraction, it includes division and multiplication. Alright, so let's take a quick example of, say, 98 plus 7 is equal to 105. We can also do decimal numbers. So 98 plus 0.5 or 65. This gives us 98.65, right? Which is of course right. Now in subtraction, be a bit careful, because a lot of the times when subtracting with decimals, you will get a wrong answer, right? So 70 minus 6 gives you 64, whereas let's try something like 1 minus 0.8. Well, it gives you a very weird number. I have no idea why PyCharm does this, but it's definitely a bug, because as we all know, 1 minus 0.8 is not equal to 0.1999999, etc. Right? So this is something that's gone extremely wrong over here. Just ignore that for now. I think hopefully in the future they'll fix this bug. Then you can do multiplication. Now let's say you want to do something like 2 into 4, right? This is invalid syntax. So it gives you an error. It says file input line 1, which refers to this line. It gives you the line of code that you're writing, and it says syntax error, invalid syntax, and then it has this arrow over here. Okay, so what this means, this is an error in Python, okay, and it's a syntax error. Now what syntax means is it's kind of like a grammatical error in Python. Alright, and Python is extremely strict about grammatics. In English, for example, if you miss a full stop, if you forget to capitalize or capitalize excess, then it's still fine, right? You're not going to lose the entire thing. But in Python does not like it, and it wants everything to be absolutely right. And in this case, it doesn't know what this X means. So usually in class we're used to writing X for multiplication. Python doesn't understand that, because X to it is just a letter. So we have to use this operator called the star operator, and you can get that star operator by pressing Shift and 8. Alright, so you can say something like 2 into 4. Now one thing to note is that when multiplying, you don't have to put the spaces that I'm putting. You can do that as well. It's perfectly fine. You can do this. No matter. Python will recognize it, but I just like to put the spaces because it looks neat, right? So you can do whatever you want. The next one is division. Now, similar to multiplication, there is no division sign on the keyboard. That's why we use the slash, right? The slash symbol. So we can say something like 100 divided by 10. Which gives us 10.0, which is correct. We can say something like 100 divided by 0.1, which gives us, or 10 divided by 0.1, which gives us 100. That is also right. But I think there are a few instances when they actually go wrong. So let's try 6.28 divided by 3.14. Alright, that gives you 2. So yeah, I think division seems to be doing good. I think it's only the case of subtraction where it goes wrong. But yeah. Alright, now the next thing is the use of brackets. Alright, you can of course get the parentheses. These brackets are called parentheses by pressing Shift 9 and Shift 0. Now, as for PyCharm, all you have to do is press Shift 9 and it will give you both of the brackets. Okay, so it auto inserts the other bracket. Then inside this bracket, we can type whatever we want. So let's say I just type in 9, right? And that gives me 9 because brackets 9 is, equal to 9. So you can also use these brackets to avoid the order of solving. So, but I'm not sure what it is for Python. It might be, I think it's similar to BODMAS, but you can do something like, say, the area of a circle, right? Oh wait, we haven't got to that. Okay, so say something like 45 plus, say 316 minus 7. Right, there you go. You get the answer as 354, which I'm not going to calculate. I'm assuming it's right, but yeah. Now the next thing you can do with Python is the power. So in math, you usually use this or use the notation like the exponent notation. But in Python, you have to use a double star. All right, you have to use a double star, and so instead of this, of course, you use this. All right. So say I want to do 2 to the power of 11. This will again give me. Oh wait. All right. Okay. So there is a certain problem with this, and that is that this operator didn't actually stand for the power operator. It stands for something different. I'm not sure what it is. So that's a discovery. Is this a subtraction? Okay, it might just be subtraction. Now that's an interesting discovery. So be careful then. So if you actually wanted to do 2 to the power of 11, you'd have to do that, and that will give you 2048. Alright, so that is the basic arithmetic with Python. There's also another operator called the Modulus Operator. I don't know if you've heard of this or not, but basically the Modulus Operator, written like this, by pressing of course Shift and 5, it gives you like the percentage symbol. It doesn't actually stand for percentage. It stands for modulus, and the modulus of a number gives you back the remainder. Alright, so say something like 20 modulus 2 or 20 mod, let's say 20 mod 3. Alright, this gives you a 2 back. Now that's because when you divide 20 by 3, you get 6 and a remainder of 2. And the modulus operator gives you back the remainder. So say something like 12 modulus 2 will give you a 0, whereas 13 modulus 2 will give you a 1, whereas 14 modulus 2 will give you a 0. So again, as you can see, it's very helpful in telling whether or not a number is even or it is odd. And there are a lot of uses, of course, for the modulus operator. Alright guys, so that should cover all of the basic mathematical operations that you can do in Python. The next thing we're going to move on to is the math module. Before we actually do the math module, let us let's first see what is a module or a library. So a module is basically a program or a piece of code that is written by someone else that you can use, you can import it and use it inside of your own code. Alright. So, for example, take a lot of games, right? These games, most of them are graphics, right? And most of the time, the graphics are not actually written by the game developer, they're written by someone else. So what they do is that they take the code of the other person and they import it into their program and then they use it. So similarly, Python gives us a lot of default, say, modules. You can install many more using the terminal over here. And you can also use other programs as modules. So for example, say I make a new program and I call this module test. Alright. Now, how do I get the module test into the math module? Well, it's actually pretty easy. All you have to do is write this thing called a Python keyword. Alright. In this case, the keyword is import. And what import means is that it will search for a file name. So in this case, it's module test. right? And it will basically import. Ignore this error. It says unused import statement. Don't worry about it. Your code will turn all gray, but that's fine. So basically, what this is doing is it is taking the code, all the code that is inside of module test, and it is taking all this code, which in this case there is no code, and just putting it into this. All right. And so similarly, we can also do import math, and there's a module called math. And there are a lot of other modules, right? There are tons of them. You've got so many with A, you've got so many with B. You've got a lot of different modules that you can use and in Python. And all of these modules will come really, really useful, especially when you're working with large amounts of code. Alright, so we can also put import module over there. Let us quickly just delete module test. Delete. Okay. And we can import it in our Python console. Just type in import math, and you can see nothing happened, but at the back end a lot has happened. Python, the console, has imported all the code from the math module. Now how do you access this code? Well, it's actually pretty easy. All you have to do is type in the module name. In this case it is math, then you type in a dot or a period, and then it will show you a list of all the functions that you can do. Is it not showing it to me? Let's just try it again. Import math dot. Alright, so yeah, currently doesn't seem to be interested in what I am saying, but yeah, so there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, there we go. So there's a lot of stuff inside of the math module that you can use. Now you've got a bunch of trigonometry over here. You've got some ceiling, which I'll be covering. You've got Euler's number thing. You got factorial. You got floor. You also have is infinite. You have is close, is finite. You have pi. You have radians, remainder, sine. Of course, all tau and stuff. So you've got a bunch of stuff in the math module. Say we want to access the value of pi. So all we have to do is you have to type in math.pi. Alright, and this is just a very basic example. Of course, you could write something like this, and this would give you like the same result, but like there are a lot of other functions. Say math.sine of 0, right? Gives you 0. Is sine of 0? Really? Alright, okay. Alright, so that is the math module, and there are a lot of stuff that you can use. Currently, I'm going to be covering 2 functions on the math module and 1 more functions in the default, Python console thing. Alright, let's go with the default one first, and this is the round function. Now, as you can see, the round function isn't part of the math module, so you don't have to import the math module to use the round function. Now, the round function does exactly what it says. It rounds up numbers. So let's just say something like 0.6. It gives us 1. Say I have something like 0.13. It gives me 0. Now, it gets a little wacky when you come to 0.5 because it gives you 0, which in terms of mathematics is obviously wrong. Again, this is just a thing that PyCharm does. Python has nothing to do with this. It's just a little weird, right? So be very careful. If you try to round up a number that is less than or equal to 0.5, it'll give you the error. I mean, it won't give you the error, it'll give you the wrong answer. If you type in 0.51, it'll give you 1, which is, obviously right. So, yeah, and then of course, you've got the 2 other functions from the math module. The first one is called the math.floor of x function, alright? Now, why am I calling these things functions, and how do you know whether or not something is a function? I said the round function, the floor function. So basically, a function is basically a word followed by parentheses, and inside those parentheses, you can add a parameter, alright? This parameter is called the data you enter. So in the case of round, it's a decimal number. In case of floor, also it's a decimal number. So take something like 0.9, right? Now the math.floor function works very similar to the round function. Instead of rounding the value, it always rounds the value to the lower half, So even if it is 0.9, it will still give you 0. and even if it is like even if it is something like 0.1, it will still give you 0, right? And even if it is something like even if it's something like 1.1, it will give you 1, because it will always round to the lower half of the spectrum. Whereas the second module, called Math.ceiling, will always round to the higher half. So in this case, this will give us a 1. Alright. So hopefully that covers it for the math module. If you have any questions or any queries, do ask me down below. The next episode will be all about adding comments in your code, multi-line comments and single-line comments, and we'll do a lot more in the future episodes to come. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like down below, leave any suggestions that you would like to see in the videos, and subscribe to the channel, because I just crossed 100 subscribers, which is pretty exciting. I mean, I know 100's not that much. Let's ask Python, how much is 100? How much is 100? Oh wait, it's a syntax error. Oh well, I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.